Hi and welcome to my podcast. Thank you very much for joining me. This is my fifth upload or episode of my knitting, yarn and spinning podcast. So for those of you who are new viewers, thank you very much. I hope you like what you see. And for my returning viewers, thank you very much. I really appreciate that you keep coming on back. So I'm just now going to talk a little bit about some of my completed objects, my finished objects. This one here is actually one that I completed a little while ago, I think a couple of months, but I haven't actually spoken about it yet. This is my Andrea Mowry Hoarfrost, and I love it. You'll see that I've done it in three colours. So I've gone from a darker grey through to a lighter grey to a cream. I then also was running out, so I've actually reintroduced all three of those colours into the end here as well. This Hoarfrost is amazingly warm, and the particular stitch patterns make it really squishy. So it's one of those knits that, while it is a particularly large shawl and is therefore a little bit difficult to figure out how to wear, I've been wearing mine coming around, and oops, I feel like I'm being strangled at the moment now, and just sort of like this, or just over my shoulders in a traditional shawl type format. This shawl is amazingly warm and squishy. This is knitted in Bendigo Woolen Mills, and I think that this is actually what we'd call a 10 ply in Australia, which would be a worsted weight. And as you can see, I have some, what I'm going to call my design features in it, which is just my way of saying I messed up a few lines. So you can actually see a misalignment of the pattern here, but again, that's now a new feature. And occasionally throughout in other spaces, you can see some misaligned patterns, but again, I'm calling them features because I don't rip back. Unless it's a gift for someone else, then I'll happily rip back. But for me, they just become design features. One thing I loved is this pattern here. It is just stunning. But anyway, I just thought I'd talk that through. If you haven't knitted this already, I really recommend it. While it is, as I said, it is a bit weird on how to actually wear it initially. It's so different to my other shawls or cows in that this is true winter wear. It almost comes across as a blanket versus to a shawl. You'll often see this on the back of this chair here, because if I'm cold, I'll pop this on my lap or around my legs. I equally take this often to work and put it on my work chair as well for exactly the same purposes. Whereas the other cows and shawls that you'll see me wearing don't serve that kind of a warmth purpose. So if you do live in a cold climate, have a look at Instagram and look at the Hoarfrost shawls and get some ideas. But it is an amazing knit, and it is actually one of the few ones I would definitely consider knitting again, and potentially as a gift for someone who I know would appreciate something in that heavier yarn. So that's the Hoarfrost by Andrea Mowry. I'll make sure I link it down below. Oh, in case you're thinking that my hair looks a bit pink, because I am completely grey, hello Vlad, because I'm completely grey, I probably a couple of times a week just it's just a wash in, wash out colour, and I vary between pinks and purples and blues and all sorts of things just to change it up and keep things moving along. So I'm just going to show you what I'm working on at the moment. This is a light fingering weight merino and New Zealand possum mix. The New Zealand possum has a really fine, you can see the halo in there, and it's almost got a slight black tint to it in the halo. So while it's a lilac yarn, when you knit it together, you get a slight haloing effect on it. When you run this through the Swift to wind it, you end up with all these little bits of fibres constantly over your face. You're constantly trying to wipe it out. But it's beautiful to knit with and so very warm when you knit it up. However, the reason I'm frogging this is I'm doing this to the sockhead pattern, and I actually want to blend another yarn with it. So I'm actually going to knit 2 strands together. I'm finding this just a little bit too light and airy for me. So, and I'm using 2.75 needles, so I'm actually going to frog this back and just pop probably another sock yarn, so another fingering weight yarn together and knit it up as an 8-ply or a DK weight pattern. So that's getting frogged. But again, it's a beautiful, absolutely stunning yarn. This is my sock bag, and in here I've done one sock already. This is the Hermoine pattern, so you can see the actual pattern there of the sock. Obviously I haven't blocked this yet. So this is done in a men's size. So this will actually be for my husband. It's just in 2 tones, and the other sock I like to do a heel flap and then turn the heel and then do the gusset in here as well. I need to practice doing the afterthought heels a bit more. This is a standard 6-inch sock, as I said, with the Hermoine pattern along the top and just plain along the bottom. So that's the remaining of the yarn. So when I finish going through this maroon, it'll be back into that blue. So the second sock will actually be the opposite, so it'll be the maroon on top and the blue down the toe. So they will be a pair. Today I'm going to talk about the Australian Sheep and Wool Show, which I went to yesterday. The Australian Sheep and Wool Show is obviously a yarn festival, a sheep and wool show. It gathers sheep and wool producers from all over, not just Australia, but from New Zealand as well. So while there's loads and loads of sheep to look at, and I've got to say some that are particularly a lot larger than I thought they were. There were some there that came up when I was standing up. I'm 5'8" to my chest height, and that were the size of a small cow, and others that were what I consider normal size sheep that were just stunning and beautiful, and their fleeces were, oh my goodness, but they were monsters in size. So I'm going to just run through some of the stuff that I managed to either pick up yesterday. I went in with a plan. I had planned on buying a small carding machine. That didn't happen, although I tested out some. I know the one that I want. It's a little bit pricier than I was hoping it would be, so I'm going to save up for that. No instant gratification here, which isn't a bad thing. So I didn't buy the carding machine. I only bought 2 balls of yarn, not skeins because they're already balled, and that's only because they were self-striping and I wanted to give those a go. So I bought a self-striping 8-ply in a rainbow colour that you'll see shortly, and just another that looks like a chocolate mint biscuit. Well, I think it's going to anyway, in a 4-ply, or sorry, in a fingering weight and a DK weight. And yeah, just essentially spent the day with my girlfriend Lenny, Purple Hen House. She actually made this brooch for me. I'll show you that in a second. And the reason that Lenny and I go is we go to the Women of Wool lunch. So there's a big lunch that's on a Friday. So we both take the day off work and actually go along to that lunch. It's about 3 hours. It's run by Australian Wool Innovations Limited, and Woolmark is a main sponsor. There's a beautiful wool fashion show, and it's just an amazing lunch. It's hundreds of women in one room and some inspirational guest speakers. So we try to make that an annual event for us, to go along to that and then spend the rest of the day browsing all of the yarn and all the notions and accessories. And we just simply browse through. I've got so many photos, and oh my goodness, I saw the most gorgeous knitted dress that I'm going to actually show you up here. So I now need to find a dress like this on Ravelry, because I absolutely want to knit that, and that's what I want to wear next year, or a dress like that. The beauty of going to an event like that is you are not considered weird when you run up to a complete stranger, like I did with that young lady, and say, I love your dress, may I take a photo of you? and they naturally say, absolutely, go for it. So that was fantastic. Now, to show you a couple of things. First of all, this brooch. I wore my Zweig sweater and had about 5 or 6 people stop me and chat to me about it, which is lovely. So thank you, Boyland Knits, Caitlin Hunter, for your wonderful pattern. So this brooch, my girlfriend Lenny made for me, and I'll link her pieces down below. So she made a run of 6 different ones of these within that similar style and gave them to some of her girlfriends, of which I was fortunate enough to get one. So it's extremely treasured. And each of them are in a different base colour. So this one has the reds for me, but some of them were, so there's a purple one with, say, knitting needles, one with a nice green flowy scarf around their neck. So I love those, so thank you very much, Lenny. I stopped and had a lovely chat as well with Nundle Woolen Mills. Their yarn, so they're a New South Wales mill, but they use Tasmanian fleece, so they're using Tasmanian sheep. Their yarn was next level soft. I'm really excited to actually get some and start knitting with it. So I grabbed a shade card as well as their natural shade cards. So Nundle Woolen Mill, I want to say thank you very much for being so wonderful. And I bought 3 tops. So I bought 100-gram balls each, or not balls, just tops. Obviously I've still got them compressed down. So I bought a nice bright blue, a nice lilac, and who could ever go past such a brilliant orange? So I'm going to enjoy spinning those up once I finish spinning my green and getting those plied together. But I am now ready because Ashford were there. They're always there, that's not a surprise for anyone that goes. But I had personally forgotten until about an hour in that Ashford would be there. Here's why it's exciting that Ashford was there. I bought 3 more bobbins. So now I can take my time with my spinning because I have the extra bobbins. They're a little bit more expensive than I was expecting them to be, but so long as I don't drop them and break them, it's all good. And I also bought some more oil for my machine because I had been using clipper oil because I didn't have the other oil. My understanding is it's actually quite similar, but this oil looks particularly vicious because it's got this big sharp needle here. But that just means it's actually going to get exactly where I want it to go. And hopefully not anywhere else, because when I oiled my machine, I'm calling it a machine, when I oiled my wheel 2 weeks ago, I got myself in a little bit of a mess because I was just using a dropper and slipped and I had oil all over the place. So we went through a few sheds that had some stunning natural dye. They're eco dyeing with their, I'll insert an image here as well. So these particular jackets were made out of recycled undyed blankets, woolen blankets. And then they had done the eco dyeing over it with the leaves. These jackets were amazing, and had I budgeted for that, I actually would have bought one because it's winter here and they were just stunning and I've never seen anything like them. As I was going through that shed, I saw these new dyes. Now, I normally only use natural dyes. I haven't used these type of dyes before, so I'm looking forward to trying them. But I got some pretty colours, as you can see. So I have rubine and turquoise. The rubine, this one that looks a bit purplish, is meant to come out almost as a red, so we'll see how that goes. So I've got 5 undyed hanks of some sock yarn there that I'll play with these. I have plenty of mordant, so I just need to get myself into a dyeing frame of mind and actually have at it. So I'm looking forward to having a look at those and seeing how the sock yarn comes up. I might try and do one solid of each and then do some blending and see how we go. I also bought some badges, mainly because I'm supporting some local artists. So I bought 4 for $10. So runs with scissors, nice little blood and gore one. I'm working on my PhD in knitting, project's half done. That's amusing because those of you who know me, I spent 12 years working at a university and I've recently left my academic life. My husband is an fan of Outlander, he's read all the books, so I couldn't go past Keep Calm, Sassenach, Dinnerfash, because that's just fabulous. And my most famous saying in this house, just let me finish this row. Well, not just my most famous saying, I imagine that we're all continually saying that. Okay, so these self-striping sock yarn balls, this is the 8-ply. And this is Heather Made, it's a DK sock. So it's a 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, and it's 100 grams. And it's called Classic Rainbow. Here's the colourway. So that will actually be a pair of socks for my husband. I haven't knitted 8-ply socks before, so I'm actually looking forward to seeing how quickly they knit up. He is also really excited about how bright these colours are. And this is one that I feel looks like a chocolate mint biscuit, chocolate mint slice. So this is 4-ply sock yarn. Similar makeup, I'm assuming. Oh, no, it's not. This is 80% merino and 20% nylon. Interesting. So I'm excited to see that how these knit up. But I think they look like a chocolate mint biscuit. What else have I got? Because I went to go to the Women of Wool lunch, we get a bag with some items in it. So we got a lanolin cream with vitamin E. I only use lanolin on my hands because of my wool knitting, but I've actually got quite a large stock of lanolin creams. I also bought a thing of little notions, just 11 markers, stitch markers, only because I haven't bought stitch markers for some time. I noticed over the last few months that some of my ones that are a little bit older are actually breaking. So as I get a chance to, I'm replacing them with some stainless steel ones. This is the carding machine I was looking at from this company, Storch Fibres, Strouch Fibre. This hand one down here is the one that I'm actually looking at getting. But it's a little bit more costly than I was expecting. Does it have issue 30 of Wheel magazine from Ashford? And a little Woolmark keyring. You just see the little Woolmark symbol there. There you go, that's better. So the day yesterday at the Australian Sheep and Wool Show was fantastic. The lunch where you're sitting at tables with, obviously with my friend Lenny, but also with a whole heap of other women that you don't know, so you get to learn over lunch. I'll pop in some of the photos here of some of the fantastic yarns and makers that I think I'm really going to want to buy some items from. So this photo that I'm about to pop up here, Maximoo Yarns. This is a young guy who's just started university and he's actually getting into his own yarn business as well. His colourways, this one is called Battle of Kadesh. His colours, I want to buy his yarn just for his naming convention of colourways. There's some other things with resin called, well, this one's Battle of Kadesh. There's Blood Spatter, there's Crime Scene. The yarns themselves were on some lovely bases. He had a good mixture of bases. But the colour combinations that he's put together are just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Really well done, and great to see a young guy coming in, and well done to his grandmother for actually popping his yarn in her shop, because that is just fantastic. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope you've had a great day and have a lovely week, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.